Hello, this is Paula Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pau. I welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and her network on Single TV's channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Single TV app on the respective app stores. While you download it, please make sure that you rate it and you leave a comment because feedback is important to us. Well, the app is totally free. So Single TV can be found in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Amazon Fire. I said that already, right? Roku sticks, and all smart TVs from 2016 and forward. Thank you so much for being here. Today in the house we have Dominika Staniewicz. She is a brain coach and a neural coding specialist, and I welcome you to the house. Yay! Did I say your last name right?
Totally not. I love it. It was just so butchered, but guess what? I love you anyway.
Teach me then. How do you say your last name?
Staniewicz. That
Stani.
one, yes.
Okay, I promise you, I Google it and I listened to it like a couple of times.
We're
So I
all
could,
good. Paula, we're all good.
okay. Oh, I'm glad you're here. And today we're going to talk about, encoding happiness in your DNA. So tell us a little bit about you so we get to know you more, Dominika.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be your guest, and I'm honored that you have invited me. So thank you so much for that. I am actually Eastern European. I'm Polish, and I was raised in Poland in a culture where happiness is not something you should trust. So you should be very serious, and you should not smile too often because those are the only trustworthy people. And I was miserable most of my life. I was literally miserable. I had issues with my family where touch wasn't something natural and hugging was something that was rejected, being serious all the time, so kind of pushing down my natural behavior, bubbly and being all excited. Then it turning out me being epileptic and people treating me like a drug addict. Then me being in a very abusive relationship and having my son died, where I became literally miserable. Then me becoming even more masculine than Arnold Schwarzenegger. And one day I just woke up and said, okay, this cannot be life. There has to be more to life. Everybody looked at me, they go, wow, you're so successful, you're so amazing. And I would go home and cry. And I realized that without happiness, that's not dependent on the outside world, I will not notice everything around me. I will not notice the good things that are happening. I will not notice opportunities. I will be dependent on the whole world to make me happy. So I decided about 11 years ago to start the journey of self-development and to start working on me. And that was the best decision and the most difficult decision I've made in my life. And I truly say that I have encoded happiness in my DNA, the way I perceive the world, the way I see with gratitude, the joy. Even, even he said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I mispronounced your last name. Hey, guess what? It doesn't really matter because what matters, we're talking, right? We're sharing knowledge, we're empowering others. And my last name really is not that important. It's just a name. It's just a name. It doesn't change who I am.
So how did you find, like going back to your life, that you said you lived a very successful life, but you weren't happy. The loss of your son, the domestic abuse situation that you lived. How did you continue to move forward each day? Like, how is it a cycle that some people get trapped in there? Can you explain a little bit of maybe
Right.
someone out there is trapped in that cycle?
Right. So that cycle is kind of society bound. What happens is that you're being told that you're doing everything right and you hold on to that. And it's kind of becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. I just got to move forward. And we grab on those little moments where people say, oh, you did great. And we hold on to it as long as we can. The truth is that we are looking for outside validation. And that outside validation, when it comes, it becomes our life rope. And if that life validation doesn't come, you fall into depression, you fall into anger. A lot of people, including me, live double lives. It used to be me, at least. I would go outside, I would be this awesome person achieving success. Yet I would come home and everybody thought I was so strong and so, successful that I don't need anything. And I would come home and cry. I would be lonely. I would be angry at everything, but you couldn't show, right? It's not okay to show that you're angry. And then if you are angry, then there's something wrong with you and you should look at yourself. So a lot of people live a work life the way we're supposed to act, the way society tells us to act, because that's the norm. And then they go home and it doesn't match who they are. And that's the dissonance, the disconnect in these two creates misery. So what I did, I lived for show. I was showing off how amazing I am, and I would have enough energy in the morning to do it through a whole day. And then I would come home and just cave in bed, take cover. I didn't drink, thank God I didn't fall into drinking or drugs, but a lot of people do because they want to kill that feeling of I don't belong. It doesn't match who I am. I'm living a lie. And living a lie is the worst thing you can do to your self-esteem.
Yes. So what was the moment? Was it a phrase? Was it a word? Something you seen on TV? You heard someone that helped you, find that purpose, and you said, "This is enough. I'm moving forward with finding my internal uh, satisfaction, validation."
Right. So for me, it was me splitting up with a man that I used to be with for years. And one day he just woke up and said, "Hey, I don't think I love you anymore." So I said, I guess you need to move out. I fell into a pain that could be equal to the death of my child. I had to be on IVs. I had to be taken care of. I had seizure after a seizure. And one day, it was with absolutely no reason. I woke up and said, okay, this is enough. I think I'm doing the right thing, but same things are happening to me over and over. That's a pattern. If the same things are happening over and over and over again, it's not the world, it's me. And I have the ability to take control of me. I can't outside world. It is what it is, right? But
Mhm.
it's me. So what am I doing wrong? And that question was the beginning of me getting coach, and reassessing my life, who I am, my values, and what I believe in. Because as even Einstein repeat this over and over and expecting different results, insanity. And I tend to think I'm quite logical and quite sane. Doing
Give me 1 second. I think you're breaking up, and our audience will not be able to understand what you're saying. So you said you got your first coach, and then you begin to see a change, and then after that,
yes,
you said Einstein's
I started
phrase.
reading.
Reading. Okay.
Yes, I started reading, and after that, I went to trainings. After that, I got my certification. So what I did, I took responsibility for my unhappiness, and that's
You
the key
took
thing. Now I know that this is what I did.
Okay, so we are responsible for our own happiness. That's what that's what Coach D, Dominika, is telling us today. We are responsible, and we get to choose, to be frustrated. We get to choose to be sad. We get to choose to, make a better emotional state out of our life and each situation that we live. We have the choice. That's beautiful. I totally agree with you. Are you with me still?
I
I think
am.
she's Uh, so how do we sabotage ourselves? Like if because I think happiness is easy, like it's a choice, but we overcomplicate our life. It's like and I think it's what you said is like looking for the external validation that doesn't fulfill how we see our life. Yeah, we lost Dominika, so I'll continue to go see if she comes back. uh oh, there you are. Yay.
I decided
I'm
to
glad
go
you're
in a
back.
different spot. Maybe that will work better.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So you got coaching, you got training, you got your certifications, and you realize that, choosing to be happy was within you.
Yes, and
And
you said one thing that I would actually disagree with. You said that happiness is easy. Happiness is the hardest thing you can do.
but it's simple. That's what I mean. It's like it's simple because we get to choose. It's like it there's people that live I mean they're trapped in like, okay, I have to finish my college degree before I'm happy.
And see,
Sometimes
and
we
that's where the
overcomplicate it.
and that's why it's not simple, because finishing the degree, getting your college degree is not going to make you happy. That's our assumption of the outside world. We're thinking that everything outside is going to make, if I get a boyfriend, I'm going to be happy. If I get a new job, I'm going to be happy. If I
If
get
I
a
get married.
raise, if I get married, if I, have kids, I'm going to be happy. And everything is dependent on the outside factors that are temporarily only working. And if you look at HR, because I'm also an HR manager, one of the important things is that we create those motivational systems, right? And we give people raises. Well, all the studies in the world show that you're happy with a raise for about a month. And then after a month, that happiness is gone because you're accustomed to the new amount of money you're getting. That is not permanent happiness. That is just a temporary flick. And it is super important to understand that happiness is a permanent daily task that you have to cultivate. One's not going to make you happy. And if it is, it's going to be for a short period of time and it's going to go away. Is that really how we want to live? On grab and go?
Yes, I mean, we don't want to live on the external validation, like thinking if I get married or when I meet that person, I'll be happy. And I think we have the choice, like right now, to smile. We have the choice to be happy without having to purchase the new car, without, you know what I mean? It's like your internal validation. That's what I mean. Is like, it is, it's simple. That's why I said it's easy. It's like, it's within us. I know, right? I'm contradicting myself probably because it is simple and we make it so hard to achieve it.
I think it would be simple if our culture would actually allow us to learn that skill. Because happiness is a skill. It's something that you got to learn, but it includes very complex processes, like the way you perceive the world, you perceive the reactions, what emotions you assign to the events. What do you believe you can be grateful for? And a lot of other things. All of those things combined allow you to be happy. Notice that if you do a study, and it has been done quite a few times in areas where people are not super rich and they don't have a lot, yet they're super happy. They're just the joyous people ever, and they're grateful for everything. Their quality of life, although financially we might say it's not as high, it's actually much higher than ours when it comes to our biology, chemicals we release, and our bodily functions and our mental state. So it is simple because the concept is simple, but our society does not support that. And I remember when I was applying for this position that I'm here, and I was asked, "What do you want in 5 years?" My answer was, "I want to be happy." And my supervisor looked at me and go, "I never heard that before." I'm like, "See, that's the thing. My end goal is to be happy." Because I know that if I get more money, it's going to be temporary. I know that if I get a promotion, it's going to be temporary. That happiness will not last. So I want to be happy and I take responsibility for that. But then it took me 11 years to get here. So I don't know if that's that simple.
No,
Or I might be not
true.
that intelligent.
That's beautiful, though. I mean, it does take a skill. It is learning the strategies. It is learning the techniques. So, what is like on your daily basis? How do you? choose to be happy whenever things don't go your way? Like, what are some of the few things that you can share with us that tilt your mood?
Well, first of all, I let go of control. That was the first thing and the most difficult to learn, because one of my misery and unhappiness came from the fact that I wanted to control everything, which I have no control over. And
Mhm.
anytime it wouldn't go my way, I would get upset and angry. Why isn't he, she like me? Why don't they have the same standards as I do? Why this, why that? Letting go of control and allowing people to be who they are is absolutely crucial for happiness. Not imposing your standards on them, allowing them to live their life the way they are. And that's really hard because our culture does not support that, again, no matter where you go. Another thing that I do is I practice gratitude. One of the things I've learned that saying, "Oh, I'm so grateful," it really doesn't mean anything. I actually have to feel that I'm grateful. So I look for little things people do for me. Like, somebody smiled. And when I went during the weekend, I went to the lake, and I think I got a little tiny heat stroke. So I drove in to a general dollar, and this guy saw me. He saw that there's something not right. So he pulled out a chair, he gave me water. He put me in an AC area. I was so grateful he noticed that he was attentive enough to see that I might not feel okay. And that filled my heart. Now, I could say thank you and go on, or I can feel grateful. Those are two different reactions. So I choose to be grateful. I choose not to control and not to feel offended if somebody does something that I wouldn't do. Okay, so that's what they did. It's their choice, right? Obviously, we're not talking about when somebody's hurting me or anything like that. But for them to hurt me, I would have to assign a meaning to what they're doing. And I don't. If somebody's angry, well, they're angry, but they're not angry at me. There's nothing to, they got triggered. They reacted a certain way. And I feel sorry for them because that must be painful, right? I don't react as a response. Oh, why did you do that to me? That is so awful. Oh, that is so rude. And how could she? How could he? No, obviously they could, and they did. And I have no control over that. So I can accept the way they look and not take it personally. And that is very, very important for me. Another thing that I do, I meditate. Now, most people think, oh, meditation for hours. No, no, no. It takes me literally 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day where I concentrate on counting and breathing. And my mind clears, which allows me to take a deep breath and go, okay, it's a beautiful day. And I choose to be happy when it's raining instead of going, oh my Lord, it's raining again. How can it be raining? God, I hate when it's raining. Oh, I got a headache day. And I start complaining. I'm like, I don't do that. I go, that's fantastic. Guess what? I'm saving on my water bill.
Cool. That's good. It is within the attitude as well, like choosing to have the attitude and be aware. I mean, awareness is a huge key when it's like, okay, what triggered me? Why do I feel upset? What caused that? And then just go back and track it down and be able to use these beautiful techniques that you're sharing with us. In my
Absolutely.
train, in my trainings, trainings, I don't really talk about like happiness, but I do talk about like identity and choosing core values, because whenever we express ourselves, whenever we express our gifts, I believe that there is a level of happiness, there's a level of satisfaction, like you're serving. So I try to bring that identity, core values. I try to explain to them the human needs, why people behave the way they behave, so that we kind of learn to understand our behavior, and then learn to understand, the people around us and why they behave the way they behave, just to bring them awareness, uh, to understand. Because I think, to me, like when I understand, is like it's an aha moment, it's a progress moment, and that kind of boosts my dopamine and it makes me feel happy. So what are some of the what can I say, what are some of the like subjects that you cover on your like coaching?
So, one thing I want to say is that if we look at our bosses that we had our whole life, and some of us had more of them and less of them, if you're miserable, you're going to bring different style of management no matter what happens, because your anger will go into the style you talk to people, the way you treat people, the way you give directions to people, the way you. So the happiness, actually, your personal happiness has a direct correlation with the quality of the way you manage. Because if you're a miserable person, angry person, guess what? This is the way you're going to be perceived. People will be less likely to support you, less likely do what they want you want them to do. The way you will communicate will reflect how you feel. We're only human. There's no way of separating work and life. How you feel, they say, oh, leave your emotions at the door. Good luck. Good luck. Most people
No,
are
yeah,
unable to do that. We
yes,
have
we,
to.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
one of the things outside of what you do, and I absolutely agree, the values and the ability to have the core values and the gratitude is also one of the things I strongly believe helps in happiness is that you choose to let people go their way. Meaning that unless you're in the army and you're fighting a war, there is a level of self improvement and self discovery that my employees might have. And they need to have that to feel that they are making progress, because it has been proven in a lot of studies that the goal itself is not what gives us happiness, is the progress and the journey that we should concentrate on. And unless we come up with solutions for that journey, unless we come up with ideas how we can grow, it will be imposed on us, which is not correlated to happiness. So, using coaching techniques and questions when you work with people, allowing them to discover as much as you can, obviously not always possible, but as much as you can, and then redirecting them to thinking, okay, what did I learn today? This is the question I ask all the people I train. After every day of work with me, I say, what did you learn? Do you think you were stressed? Was it too much or was it enough? Can you retain this knowledge? What else could I told you to make your day better? And I am a servant leader. The team I manage, I serve them for them to succeed on their own terms. And that is very, very important leadership, in my opinion. And it's transgressing from my private life. I was not able to do that when I was a miserable manager. I would give directives and it's done or you're fired. It was as simple as that. It was 0-1. Now it's very different. I actually listen to their needs and I try to manage incorporating their needs so they can achieve a level of happiness that they're not looking around, because people stay for people, not for jobs.
that's beautiful. It is true. And if they feel like they belong, they're seeing their value, they're going to be happier, healthier, and more productive. So,
Absolutely.
have you seen a big change since the pandemic?
I think we lost a lot of social skills as humans since the pandemic. And I understand why, and I like working remote. And I also understand why working in person with people in the same room is very important, because the world is not only on our terms, the world is on everybody's terms. And the ability to function with different personalities, behaviors is a key social skill. We cannot lose that. So, on one hand, absolutely, remote work is phenomenal and allows us a lot more freedom and, working in PJs, what can you say, right? A lot
Yeah,
of us do
yeah.
that.
Yes.
On the other
So,
hand, I'm a bigger fan of hybrid work than just remote. That way you keep building those social skills and yet you have your freedom, if that makes sense.
yes, yes, of course. Yes. You get both ways. So, that's good. You also coach people on brain health.
Yes.
So, could you give us a little bit about a background of what that entails?
So absolutely. So as I said, I'm epileptic. So it's called I'm neurodiverse, as they call it now. I'm epileptic, guys. I'm not neurodiverse. I'm epileptic. We can give a fancy name to it, but it's epilepsy. And what is important is that I realize that if I don't take care of my brain and I don't treat it as an organ, my daughters will end up with a mother that will be incapable of self care. I will be a burden. And that was my reason why I started searching. When I run into Dr. Amen, it was an epiphany. I'm like, this is exactly how I want to coach people. I like science. I do require science to understand why I'm doing things. And the fact that I understood how the chemical balance in our body works, that the brain is an organ that, as an ever, imagine going to a cardiologist, okay? You're going to a cardiologist, and this dude looks at you and goes, oh, after what you said, I think you have cardiomyopathy. I'm going to take you to a surgery. And they never looked at your heart. I mean, would you have them operate on your heart? Heck no. You're not touching me, right? So, the brain coaching, the brain training allows me to explain to people and take away the feeling of guilt that they're doing something wrong, because it is their brain. And the brain does not sentence who we are. It's an organ. It can be trained. It can be retrained. It can be rebuilt. It takes away the stigma of, there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. Yet we got to remember that our brain makes us who we are. Imagine tomorrow losing all your reference points, losing all your memories. Who are you going to be if you lose that?
Nobody. Lost.
Exactly. And nobody will know you because they know you by your reference points, by your behaviors that are based in reference points. So I am thrilled to use brain knowledge and scientific brain knowledge in coaching to explain to you that when you're not smiling, you're not releasing certain chemicals, why D3 is important, why B6 is important. And those are very simple things you can do to change your health and your happiness. I mean, how simple can that be? Taking, supplements, and not necessarily chemicals. You can add saffron for dopamine boost that changes your the way your brain transmits information, or exercises you can do where you can release certain ability to build new neuroconnections, and that will help you in the future without taking any medication. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. I am a sociologist and a brain trainer. Yet there are ways that we've been trained by Dr. Amen and others that we can support you. And if the need arises for medical assistance with the chemical pills that we sometimes do need to take, like me for epilepsy, absolutely please do so. Yet there are other ways you can try to support yourself and your brain and your knowledge and your growth. Can you imagine waking up every day full of energy and happiness despite of what's in the world? Despite of what might happen, being going, oh my God, it's an awesome day. And so brain training for me is a way to freedom. It's a way to become free of the stigma of our society, the way our society tells us that it's not okay to be ecstatic, that it's not okay to be joyful, that you have to be in the frame of being okay. Notice, try this experiment. I'm inviting everybody to do that. Go to a store when they ask you, how are you? Just go, I'm phenomenal. I'm fantastic. And take a look how they're going to look at you. I guarantee you that their eyes will say, oh my God, I want to feel like this, but they will feel uncomfortable with that happiness that you're showing. So why in our culture we're uncomfortable with people being ecstatic?
That's a good question, because sometimes we play it like we downplay it, right? We're like, how are you doing? Oh, even though you had a great day, then you're like, oh, I'm doing fine. Like you don't really express because you just want to downplay it to fit in because you don't want to be excluded, right?
And why are we being excluded when we're happy? See how absurd that is? We're
Yes.
being included when we're miserable. Then we collect people around us going, oh, how can I help you? Why? And very often this is programmed into our brain. Our unhappiness draws attention to us. So we play that card. What if we could do the same thing with happiness? that actually supports our nervous system, that supports our chemical balance in our body. Do it with happiness. Make people uncomfortable. Make a new normal that you have encoded DNA in your happiness and you're sharing it with everybody. How amazing would that be if we were free to express joy like little kids are?
I like that. Yes, definitely. But yeah, it is. There is a standard of being accepted, I believe, in society. You have to behave a certain way for them to invite you back or for them to open up for a friendship. And sometimes we play that silly game that we have to meet the requirements, to be their friend or to establish a relationship. If not, then
Absolutely.
so we as individual try to gauge, like, did I behave the right way? Did I say something? So it shouldn't be that way. Like you
And
said, if we want to,
what type of a relationship are we going to have if we start on a fake note?
yes, and we
Where
want to
are
be
we going?
authentic.
Exactly.
Yes, gotta learn to encode our happiness in our DNA, whoever likes it or not. Be
And the thing is,
authentic.
if you're not ecstatic and you're not super happy, that's great too. If that's your choice, how you want to live. Yet it is important that we meet people with who we are truly, because only then we can see if we can build a relationship. If you're holding back your whole life, then you have a feeling of not belonging, not being you, being in a wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know how about you, but I have expressed those feelings and felt them so many times before I went through my journey that it became a new normal. Being uncomfortable, unhappy, miserable, not fitting in, nobody understands me. That's not a way to live. Our life is short.
Yes. Yes, and I mean, and you had to adapt to a new culture, when you arrived
Absolutely.
to the US. So it's like, okay, what are the social rules here?
And I
And
still haven't, actually. And I plan not to, because some social rules that are being considered okay, I don't disagree with. And I choose to be me. Now, I'm not breaking, of course, any laws. I'm doing not doing anything illegal, but I'm perfectly okay with hugging a stranger, which is socially not really acceptable in America. I did, though, add, question, can I hug you? And I literally hug everybody because I
oh,
believe that feeling of closeness, and I don't have to believe, there's science. Do you realize that children's brains and kids and infants, if they're not being touched and hugged, their brains don't develop and they die? This is a primal need to be touched.
yes, is
And
there
we seem to
oxygen?
make this, and touch is innocent if we make it innocent. So, yes, I never stopped hugging people. I do ask, can
That
I hug you though?
that's good. We release oxytocin, right, whenever we hug others. So that's cool.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's a good thing because it gives our, biochemistry the boost of oxytocin, which is, the happy hormone of
And dopamine.
and dopamine. Yes. So I like that. I like that. That's awesome. How do we self-sabotage ourselves to be
Ha,
illegal? Because
ha.
sometimes, I mean, you want to be happy, and there is sometimes it's like there is self-sabotage out there. Because is it because we're not used to?
I believe that when I've noticed, so a few days ago, I noticed almost self sabotage myself, and you probably saw my post. It is a funny thing because we live a certain way for most of our lives. We create brain patterns and behaviors that we have. And very often, our belief system, which you spoke about, says, I deserve to make no more than 80K. Or we believe that people who make, let's say, $1 million a month are bad people because they're selfish and they're for sure they're stealing from other people. Whatever our belief system is that we do not realize it's there, it's actually subconsciously pulling us down. It's saying, no, 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 no. You are not going there because you don't want to be like them. You don't want to be the person who's bad and who's mean and who is cheating the system, right? Because my mom, and in my country, at least in Poland, I heard so many times people who are rich, they cheat the system and they usually steal. There are no honest people that made that type of wealth on it with honest hard work. I don't know if you have ever heard that.
Yeah, I grew up with stories, listening, like, and soap operas in Mexico are huge. So the villain was usually wealthy. So yeah, I get it.
So now look at this. And if you believe that deep inside, and you don't even have to realize you believe that, right? It will, the moment you get to a point where you believe you're becoming very rich, you will start behaving and looking for ways to prove to yourself that you're not going there because you're a good person. You don't want to be like them. So very often self-sabotage is subconscious. It's not something that you do and you go, oh yes, I'm gonna now self. No. It doesn't happen like this. It happens when you don't realize it. About 3-4 years ago, I realized I'm still not over that. And how did that happen? I got a job offer at the same time, two job offers. One of them was at 65K and one was at 160K, something like that. You would think a normal person who believes in growth and that they deserve everything that's the best would take the 160K. Both offers were of good company. No. I decided to take the 60K and I found an excuse because I will have a team. That was my excuse for saying no to 100,000. I was so terrified to go over a certain limit of money subconsciously. And it hit me after 2 weeks. I took the 60K job and I'm like, what did I just do? And why did I just do that? And then I called my coach. I'm like, okay, we thought we fixed that issue. Obviously, we have not. So let's work on that, please, because I just made a mistake of my life.
Yes, we self-sabotage ourselves. It could be at the workplace, you could think that you're not in the right environment. It could be that a coworker relationship is like it's going well and then something happens, or our marriage. There's different way, our parenting, there's so many ways that we somehow sabotage ourselves. So, but you mentioned something really, really good a while ago. It's like if we are aware of our patterns, like that is a path for you to begin to encode that happiness in your DNA. It's like be aware
Absolutely.
and
Be
observe.
aware.
Yeah, like
Ask yourself a question. What do I want? And how do I get it? Is what I'm doing now serving my goal? Is it going to get me where I want to go? And anytime I start having doubts, I start asking myself those questions. They are absolutely key because it's kind of like with a sailing boat. I love sailing and I sail the sails, and I go on a lake. And if you don't know your destination, you will allow wind to blow you around. You might get to your destination, but you might not. Now, if you know where you're going, you can use the sails when you get off track to change the direction and use the wind that you have no control over to get you where you want to go by adjusting the sail. And this is the same thing with patterns. If you realize what is your behavioral pattern, what you usually do, you will have an aha moment. Okay, so if I do this and this gets me to point A, but I want to be at point C, how can I change what I'm doing to get to point C? Because it's up to you what you change. The world is not going to change for you. You can tell the world, okay, you're going to change now, but it's not going to. You have no influence over it. But what you do and how you perceive the world definitely can change.
I love that. Yes, it's on pattern, being aware, what triggered me? Why do I feel this way? If that's part of encoding your DNA, encoding your DNA with happiness is like, okay, what happened? Why do I feel upset? It could,
Exactly.
and it could be that sometimes you're just they're overlapping. Certain things that happen, three things, in a row that you weren't expecting, and then that took you out of surprise. And it's like, okay, what do I want? Do I want to feel this way, or do I want to experience gratitude? Do I want to enjoy the day? It's like going back to our awareness and asking, what do I want? And how can I get there? There's just
Exactly.
there is simple steps, simple questions that are very significant for us to experience those emotions that we truly want to experience, which I hope is happiness. I hope is gratitude. I hope you want to experience a joyful life. So what Coach D is talking about is like, yeah, recognize those patterns. How are we uh, engaging in this relationship? I mean, whatever is going on right now is like, analyze your patterns that you use every day. And it goes back to habits.
And take the responsibility. That is so important. So when you get upset, don't go into a pattern, which a lot of us have, saying, oh, because you, and whatever comes next. Ask yourself, why did that get me angry? What do I believe that is a trigger in there? So another example from my coach. I absolutely love that example, and I give it all the time because it's so simple. If you believe you're a good person, truly believe deep inside, if somebody says you're an idiot and you're a bad person, you will dismiss that information because you know it's not true. And imagine now somebody is 6'7", tall person, right? 2 meter tall. And somebody walks up to them and goes, hey, you're small. You're just so small. They're like, okay, whatever you say. And they keep going. It doesn't faze them because they know deep in their core that it's not true. So if something moves us, it means either that we do not truly believe it's true, what we believe ourselves, or our habits are shaky, or our beliefs are shaky, or there is something in there that they said that triggered us. It's not them. It is us who is not firm on whatever we believe in. And that's very important because that means you have some work to do, not them.
Yes, it goes to rules, right? Like sometimes we have rules within, everywhere we go. Say, I'm not going to express gratitude unless this happens, or
Right.
I'm not going to be happy unless, I get married, or I'm not going to experience happiness until I have that child, or that
Right.
job, or that degree. Sometimes our rules uh, stopped us from truly enjoy life. So we have to also analyze, like, what rules do we have in order for us to express love? What
That is
are those?
spot on, Paula. That is absolutely spot on. Those
Yeah.
rules steal our joy and happiness.
Yes. I mean, I'm telling you, as a mom and as a wife as well, it's like I had to learn to see, okay, what are those rules for me to truly love my child? Because it's scary raising kids. And I had a lot of rules that I had to remove because I wasn't transmitting the love. It was more like fear. Is he going to turn out okay? So fear drives us, right? It's like it's fear sometimes that it's on the takes on the wheel, and it doesn't allow for us to express the love. And we have so many rules that I had to work on. So where can we find you, Coach D?
Well, you can definitely find me on Your Coach D, on Facebook, Your Brain Coach D. You can find me on Instagram, Your Brain Coach D. You can find me via email. You can also find me just by my first and last name, Dominika Staniewicz. Haha, how fun pronouncing that.
Staniewicz.
You can
I love
find me
Staniewicz.
on TikTok as well. You can find me on YouTube. Most of them will be Your Brain Coach D. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, which we're transmitting to right now.
Yes, and I've known Coach D for the past, I mean, over a year, and I love her personality. She is very straight. She just tells, she's very authentic. She tells you what she thinks, and the strategies that she come up with, they're amazing. I mean, it's like they're very unique. So if you're looking for a coach, Coach D has a lot of value to deliver. Brain coach trainer, uh, a lot of strategies, like I was saying, like that can truly tilt you and give you the aha moment.
Thank
So
you. I'm honored to hear that coming from you.
yes, give us your avatar. Who's your ideal client? Maybe they're watching us right now.
My avatar, my ideal client, is a person living in a city. It's a person between 30 and 45 years old, woman or a man, middle class, a person who feels that they don't belong, something is missing, or they're just constantly unhappy and they wake up and they know that there is something more to life than what they're living. And they are ready to change their life and do the work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you all found a word, a phrase, and information that gives you an aha moment to improve your life. Because sometimes, it takes for us just to apply the new habit. It takes for us to just try, to be grateful in order for us to begin to tilt our life to a more joyful state. It's a choice. It is a choice. So
It's
thank
a
you so
choice
much.
and it's work.
It's
Thank
work.
you,
Yes,
Paula.
it
It
is
was an
work.
honor. And ladies and gentlemen, Paula is phenomenal for young leaders to go to the next level and find themselves in the new role. So if you're looking for a great coach that is a trainer and a great health specialist and a neuroencoder, Paula does an amazing job with young leaders, the first time leaders that are looking how to manage with success and moving from group to group. So just
Thank
paying it
you.
forward.
Thank you, friend. Thank you. This show can also be heard in Spanglish Radio Network. Please check. Please check SpanglishWorld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
It was
Bye
a pleasure.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.